in the past, the Chinese have shifted their position. Let me just put some context into it. For many years, the Chinese position on Kashmir was that it is a dispute left by history, and the two countries, that is India and Pakistan, should resolve this issue. I was in China for 5 years. This was the standard formulation coming from the Chinese. Now, all that changes after August 5, 2019, when the Article 370 is abrogated. Yeah? And after that, the Chinese go and buy hold of the Pakistani line, which is of internationalizing Jammu and Kashmir, and pointedly saying in the UN Security Council that it should be resolved through the United Nations. So you go back to the UN after August 5, 2009, and that's a drastic change in the Chinese position which takes place in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, fast forward to OIC meeting. Frankly, once you've taken that position of internationalizing it and going ahead with saying that the UN should be the one which should resolve the crisis, frankly, what happened in OIC to me was a bit of a backtracking from what was done in just after August 2019. This time there was no mention of the UN. There's a one-liner which has come from the Chinese, and it is not saying endorsing the Pakistani position. When I read the statement, it is endorsing the sentiment of the OIC countries. Now, my personal view is that India should stay firm and reject this. We oppose internationalization of Jammu and Kashmir from international fora, and for good reason, because we don't internationalize Xinjiang, we don't internationalize Tibet, we don't internationalize Taiwan. So we have our own views on all the three regions. So it is expected of the Chinese to show that sensitivity towards India as well. But having said that, if I look at it in another way, you see, it was the Pakistanis who got the Chinese, that is Wang Yi, to speak to all the 57 or 50 odd members of the OIC. So they would expect a quid pro quo from the Chinese that, look, we are doing you a favor by getting you the entire audience of 57 countries of the Islamic world. At least you do something, say something about Kashmir. So I think that's what really happened. It didn't really spoil, and I think it should be objected to. I've again come back to that point that this is not acceptable by us, whatever be your reasons. But having said that, I don't think it was such a statement as to have motivated India to cancel Wang Yi's visit to India. So we have objected, and rightly so. The External Affairs Ministry has done so, and then we got Mr. Wang Yi over here because there's a bigger picture involved here, which is the revival of India-China relations, which have been frozen for the last 2 years. But if they have to be frozen, we had to send this message to the Chinese. Chinese wanted to be the thaw to come, but then they have to restore the status quo ante at the border as it existed before May 2020. So I think that message was very important to be directly conveyed to the Chinese foreign ministry, and we did so.